welcome everyone to the first episode of the network. We have, of course, the host here. We have Joe Mullings sitting there at Studio 190 in Delray Beach. I am not far from him, down the street here in Fort Lauderdale. Joining us on the first episode of the network is Jim Guerrera from SCN, that's Search Consulting Network, based in Michigan. And we have Harvey Bass with Stascom in the beautiful Garden State of New Jersey. Today, we're going to hit it off with these guys and just spend some time talking about current events, what they see, what actions they have actually taken, and recommendations. And we'll be coming to you with these kind of shows. We're going to ramp them up and get a couple of these out every week from other owners in the network and push these out with some great nuggets for everybody. So anyhow, let's kick this thing off and get it started. Joe, you want to start it with the first question, or how you want to kick this thing off?
Yeah, so I want to kick it off. Let's get a little context around this for our viewers in regards to office size and years in the industry. So Harvey, you want to lead us out of the gate, just again, briefly, office size, years in industry, and what you've grown it from and to different sections and sectors of your career.
Sure. Well, we have started in August 1987. I'm the sole owner. We currently have 16 people, which includes AEs, PCs, IRs, admin, and we have evolved over the time from multiple industries to a single industry, which is IT, and now we're back to dealing in 4 industries, which is IT, medical / healthcare, consumer products, food and beverage, with some packaging.
Got it. Bert, Harv, roughly the annual billings last year?
We, with our contract staffing, billings were probably around $1,650,000.
Got it. Great. And Jim, your career when you started, company size?
So I started back in 2001, January 1st. So right through the dot-com bubble and then the 9/11 tragedy. And today, I'll say this. Back in February 15th or March 1st, we had 24 full people, and then we had 6 researchers off site. And today we're sitting with 17 people and 3 researchers offsite. So we made a quick contraction, but last year we did about 4 million, year before 4.5 million. And this year we were tracking really well. And then obviously making some adjustments with the current environment.
Got it. Thanks for that. Let me run through TMG. So I started in 89. I was about a 2 to 3 desk office running for the first 5 to 7 years, up till about 6 years ago. 6 years ago, we were 5 desks. Today, we have 32 people in the organization, of which about 17 or 18 are desks. And we were tracking at around 11.5 million this year. Last year, I got to check. I think we were north of 7.5, 8 million. I've got to double check what that was. We terminated 1 person yesterday for performance only, but we still have our full staff here right now.
Can I interrupt one thing? Just is that all right?
Yeah, sure, of course.
I've experienced all flavors and sizes. The first 6 or 7 years, I was a 4 to 6 desk office. And in the dot-com era, I took advantage of it. And in the late 90s to 9/11, I was up to 80 people. I was number 3 in the organization. And we did about $8 million. And then downsized all the way down to 4 people, like 2004. 2014, we grew it back up to 14. And so I've experienced all different size operations.
Great. And that's important. So the reason, audience, that I want to establish context around this, so as you get insights and advice, all the owners on here, Bert's still an owner of cars as well, is we've been through 89, 90 for me, 2000, 2001, and 2008. And I think Harvey as well, Bert as well, and Jim, you got in 2000, which is as tough a time as any. So as you get as I ask the next question, you have context that these owners have been through this before, and their answers were right for them, and they may not be right for you based upon where you want to go. I do think, though, that understanding history makes you less wrong about the future. So just keep that in mind as we go through some of these answers here. You're going to see Jim and Harvey may have different ends of the spectrum on their answer, and neither one is right or wrong. And Bert, just for the audience, Protus, so they understand when you chat from that perspective.
Yeah, Protus, we kicked it off in 1995, guys, and we started off, they had HQ in Indianapolis, Indiana. Relocated the company here to Miami in 2014, where our office size is 27 people, broken up between research, recruitment managers, account managers, and business developers. Last year, we did 5.3 million. The year before that, we did 5.6 million. This year, it's hard to say. We're hopeful that we'll be in the 4.5, 5 million range again. We've actually been fairly stable minus the hospitality area. So again, we've been around since 1995.
Cool. Jim, I want to jump right on a data point you shared. You mentioned you were at, was it 24 people?
Yes, sir.
On February 15th, and now you're down to 17. Tell me about that reduction and what your mindset was with that.
Well, you know, I can even explain this probably better if I take you all the way back to when I started. So when I started, it was just me, right? Just out trying to make calls at the time, trying to develop business. And then what I realized then, and I still believe, is that everybody's different, right? Everybody's a snowflake. Certain people are well at business development. Certain people are doing an excellent job at recruiting. Most people that are good in sales, they don't like to do administrative work. Most people that are good in administrative work, they don't like to do sales. So my philosophy has always been start with business developers and then build around them, whether it be research, admin support to do planning, admin support to do marketing, admin support to set up interviews, recruiter support to manage a practice of candidates, or project recruiter support to just go down lists and make calls or connect with people. So as the market expands, I try to add around those people and give them all kinds of tools and support so that your sellers can sell. And then with the almost sudden contraction of all the business, you know, we didn't need people to coordinate interviews, for example, or we didn't need people to do as much of the recruiting planning. So our organization went from 24 people with mostly support around all of the rainmakers to just rainmakers now. So I took away all the support around them. Now they're people, they're great people. I love them. I'd hire them back if I could. And you know, we're keeping our dialogue, and that would be the goal, is to bring them back. But this was just kind of an unforeseen circumstance where, you know, you have to protect the company, and as the market goes, try to build around those people and expand.
Yeah, good. And thanks for context on that answer. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Harvey, how about you? Harv, you and I have been on the phone a few times over the last 2 weeks, and you have made it a point to make sure you maintain your entire team. You want to share your mindset and your desk level mindset?
Yeah, as I said, I've been through about 5 or 6 turn downs to 9/11 and 2010, and this were very painful. This, of course, is painful, but I like to look beyond life on the other side. My people are great. Sometimes I don't like my people in other years. This group of people is hand-selected, hand-picked, hardworking. It's nobody I don't like. Bert had said to me, you look at your staff, you say, is there anybody here that you wouldn't rehire if they were in coming for a first-time interview? So I said, once you let people go, it doesn't matter how bad this is, they don't like you. You wrecked their employment. You should have seen this coming, whatever. We're always going to be to blame. So my feeling is once you let them go, I've had rehires, but it's not going to bode well calling these people back. The second thing is it's so hard to hire good recruiters, whether they're AEPCs or IRs. I don't want to go through this in the end of the summer or the fall. Now I'm trying to get back up to speed again. I don't want to interview. I don't want to recruit. I don't want to train. So the other thing which is unique, every single person in this company is responsible for revenue. Even my senior VP of operations, she's responsible for leads and she's responsible for collections. And everybody else is fully trained to become AEs. So right now, our PCs are also AEs. So instead of having 5 or 6 people marketing on the phones, I've got 12 people marketing on the phones. And the internet researchers are responsible for researching new leads. We don't call and schmooze with our existing clients now. We talk to them, but we are doing more cold calling than ever before.
Harvey, what's the script you're giving them for cold calling? You're obviously not calling up exclusively looking for JOs. Are you marketing MPCs? Give me a couple examples.
No, I've never done MPCs. I'm pretty radical. I have never done MPCs. The script goes like this. Hey, Joe, this is Harvey Bash, National Recruiter with Stascom Technologies. Joe, believe it or not, in these times, we're working with companies that are aggressively hiring and planning for life in the future. If you're one of those companies, you may be interested that we are working with one of your competitors. We've identified some good employed sales hunters or sales recruiters, and some of these people may be good for your business. If you're looking for growth, short or long term, it's definitely worth a call back to me. Also want to see how things are going for you personally. Give me a call, my number, stay safe.
Harvey,
and that is incorporated in our emails too, because we have a 5-touch plan.
Harvey, do you weave in the interim staffing component in that conversation?
I also say we also offer contract staffing and we offer outsourcing services, outplacement services. We don't, but I know how to do it and I know what to say. So we're trying to cover permanent outsourcing, contract, and how are things going for you. They like when I say, how are things going for you? Now, unfortunately, I get a lot of calls back from guys saying, I'm looking for a job, I need your help. I do not blow those people off because someday they're going to remember that I was helpful. So what do we say? Send me a resume. I'll forward it to our senior VP of recruiting. If there's a match for something in your area, we'll guide you. If I find a company that's hiring and not using a recruiter, I'll pass the lead on to you and you can chase it yourself. They like that. Because if I just did our normal pitch or I got a guy, we're going to get, as we did the first few days, because I tweaked it, are you kidding me? You're calling me about growing and we're on lockdown. The problem is, like our own MRI, some of our MRI offices, there are client companies that are on stay vacation. They're walking the dog. I had one guy yesterday tell me he was helping his neighbor move a shed, and he's employed. And he's at home working,
Yeah, Jim, I got a question for you. Jim, as you move from 24 to 17. What went through your head in regards to esprit de corps in the organization? How did you process that through, and have you seen or felt any of that esprit de corps or the joie de vivre of the organization drop a bit?
It was hard, obviously. But when I saw what was happening, at least in my market, I think there are 2 options. One is you just have to make immediate, quick changes. Or the other option is just to ride it out. For me, I didn't have a good feel of when this thing is going to go to the other side, as you say. So for me, the best option was to try to take as much out of the organization from a cost standpoint as possible initially, immediately, and then to kind of reset, if you will. In terms of communication internally with the organization, boy, it was hard. I called everybody. We were all remote at that time. So I talked to everybody over the phone personally. I mean, these were brothers and sisters that we let go, people that we love, people that were in the family, people that were part of doing something what we thought was pretty special. So it was hard.
Jim, how's the team responding now, the remaining team? How are they responding?
Oh, they're doing great. I mean, I would not trade these people for anybody in the world. They are incredible. We've got such a great range of people. They're doing better than I could ever have asked. They're going above and beyond. They're over communicating. They get it. They understand. I do think that it goes back to the first discussion that I have with every one of them is that, my goal is for you to retire with our firm, right? I mean, that's the goal. So if we do this the right way, there's no reason that we can't do that. And my job is to help you meet your goals. I'm a servant leader. It's all about them, and they don't work for me. I work for them. So they get it. They understand. They're professional. I mean, but it hurts. It hurts everybody. It reverberates. And then you got to keep going though, socially, we're still networked with the people that were with us, and I still communicate with them as much as I can. Harvey, to your point, you were mentioning that once you let them go, you can't have them back. I don't know if that's accurate from my perspective. In fact, this past year, 2019, 3 former associates came back to our firm to join us.
What I mean is, right now the opportunity exists to bring them back if I did let them go, because they're going to have a hard time, especially the 6, 7, 8, 10-year recruiters recruiting under non-compete to find another job, because search firms aren't going to be automatically rehiring in the fall. Most of them are going to be reeling. But I look at it this way. I guess I got another 10 years in this over you, or 13 years over you, and I'm also a lot older than you. And it doesn't mean I'm smarter by any sense of the imagination, but I've been around the block long enough that the thought of rehiring, interviewing, training to maybe get people half the quality I have now. I'm also not in a position where I'm worried about sending my kids to college. I have grandkids. I'm not worried about my next country home or flying to Europe someday when things turn around. I just want to, I'm going to have to probably spend another 10 years here, and I just want to keep the staff I have. Now, if I don't get money from the bank and it gets worse and worse and worse, it's not going to get any worse than it is now. It just means it's going to drag out longer. Then I may have to do something. But right now, I feel that everybody's waiting for me to hit the hammer and drop some people. And I've talked to them that I'm not so sure that people are totally honest. They may be doing great for you in that, but they're also probably thinking if this gets longer, gets worse, will Jim let some more of us go?
Yeah, that's interesting. And what I've done is I've told every one of those people that I don't know what the horizon looks like, and I've been fully transparent. I've told everybody in our organization that we've got about another 90 days, and then we'll have another look at and see where things are. My hope, idea, belief is that the stimulus will have helped, and that the world has addressed COVID-19, but I've told them, in 90 days, we're going to have to reevaluate most likely. I mean, it's a fluid situation. And so I think just being completely honest and just in being real with the people versus trying to say, oh yeah, everything's fine. Everything's not fine. I mean, this is a disruption like no other. And
You know what
we might
I
have to
did?
make more changes. So
I showed everybody every communication that I've had with the bank, the two places we're trying to get money from, and I've been totally upfront with them, and I assured them that my sole purpose of getting this money is to keep you employed. I don't even care about the landlord. If I don't want to pay him, I'm not going to pay him. Right now, I paid the landlord for April, but I just think that there is, I'm micromanaging them, unlike what a lot of owners prescribe to. I'm not used to having people working from home, so we have a lot of systems in place, to make sure they're not sitting on the sofa watching Netflix with their cell phone on their lap.
Harvey, to that point, I wanted to jump in because I want to stay tactical as much as possible for our owners who are going to be watching this, both Jim and Harvey. Harvey, let me start with you. This is the first time we've had a virtual workforce, and as owners, and it literally almost happened overnight. What are you doing to maintain that connection with your people on a daily, weekly, biweekly basis? And how are you inspecting the work from a micro basis?
I know a lot of people are going to make fun of me, but one thing is my admin prepared a chart for me, and it's everybody who works here and various times of the day. And it starts with they have to email me when they're in, and they're supposed to be in by 7:45. Most of them are in between 7:25 and 7:40. We have every day a meeting, just like we had here, from 7:45 to 8:15. It's a dial-in number, and I go over just like I did in our normal meeting: hot sheet, forecasting, deals in progress, problems, training, news, events. And then once or twice in the morning, is everybody working? And I want to see how fast I get a response. And then they have to email me when they're leaving for lunch, when they're back from lunch. Every single bit of activity they get, whether it's an interview, a forecast change, something's bad, something's good, every single thing, scheduled POJO calls or NAP calls, not NAP, presenting candidates. And then I'm on the phone all day long. I'm in the office. The way it works is I'm the captain at the top of the ship riding through the hurricane, and they're all the passengers below. I know Jim takes a different approach, that he works for them. They work for me. Okay?
But Harvey, are you doing this for you or are you doing this for them?
Both.
Right. That's my point, is you are working for them.
They feel I'm engaged, and I care, and I'm on top of everything, and I'm trying to emulate working in the office from home. We have an afternoon meeting, and then they email me when they're gone. And I feel, because my entire staff is not used to working from home. So I think they feel like they all had to send me a picture of their setup when it started. I wanted to make sure that
I love it.
Yeah, and we're going to have a montage of everybody's picture of what it is to work from home. Now, I know many managers are going to make fun of this, but if you have been in business 33 years and never had a remote person, and this works for me, but it works for them because they're not used to working remote, and none of them had jobs before working here that were remote workers.
Got it. Thanks, Harv. Jim,
yeah,
go ahead, Bert.
No, really, coming back to Jim, but Harvey, you had all desktops. I'm just curious. I know the transition to remote, and there may be other offices out there, right? They're not positioned equipment-wise to be remote. How were you able to quickly get your team remote and virtual with equipment and get them online?
Everybody had, believe it or not, a home hardwired PC, and most of them were up to date. I just got lucky, and everybody had either a laptop or their parents. No one's working, so someone had a laptop because they're used to 3 and 4 monitors here at their desk. So they all have at their desk 2 monitors. They have their hardwired PC. Some have 2 monitors they got from the house, and then they have a laptop. And I offered to pay 50% of any equipment that I pre-authorized for them to be set up at home. The reason only 50% is because they're going to be using it for personal use, and they may not retire here, and I'm not going to pay for everything. Believe it or not, I only had to outlay about $350. They have headsets, so we got everybody set up. The only bad thing is they're using a cell phone. They're not. We don't have any other device, and I'm not remaking the wheel. We have our hardwired phones in the office. What happens is I walk around the office just for for fun and giggles. And if I see they have a red light on, I'll send them an email. You have a red light on, because if they get a call here in the office, I want them to know they have a call.
Yep. Jim, what are you doing from leading from afar in the homework process?
There's 6 specific things that we've implemented. Number 1, on Sunday night, they send me their plan for the week. And this is a work in process. It's a running list of, companies they're targeting, people they're marketing, interviews that they're working on, just a complete detail of their desk. And then every morning, they send me what they're going to work on that specific day. So that's the second thing that we do. The third thing is at the end of every day, they send me what they worked on, what they accomplished. And then the fourth thing is that each night, we've got a running email that I send out that's got 19 different sections that are important. And this is a running process. And this started on Monday, March 16th, which is when we viewed COVID. And I track every day. And the title of it is Intense Focus COVID-19 Selling Challenge. And it's a running list, and it includes all of our new positions, interviews, placements, good conversations that we're having, things that have fallen off, things that have gone away, business that we've lost, or stuff that's in delay mode. All the good, all the bad. And I send that out every night. And then each day I try to, so then the fifth thing I try to do is each day I try to get to as many people as I can. If not live, I do it over email. And then I get involved on closing calls, advancing calls, prep calls. I use that as a training opportunity as well, because their volume is contracted. So I try to get involved in every key call. And then once a week, we have a group Zoom conference call where we can see everybody and we talk about things. So those are the 6 things that we do.
Awesome. Thanks, Jim. Bert, anything that you've implemented or Bitar and team have implemented at Protus that you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, we have a pretty mobile group that have laptops. So our transition to virtual was really simple. The one thing I've said for a while now is the first thing you have to do is try to be as normal as possible in schedule in a virtual environment. So if you have an 8 a.m. meeting, you have that 8 a.m. meeting. If you have a 12:30 hot sheet meeting on Mondays, you have your 12:30 hot sheet on Mondays. And you have a closing call at the end of the day, or you have a end of the day meeting to wrap up the day, you have that, you continue to have that meeting. The one-on-ones are continuing. The connectivity to other directors and relative to their team. You see the directors having end of the day meetings. Some of the times they have, sometimes they have happy hours toward the end of the week for their individual teams as well as the overall Protus team, to try to continue the process of some form of camaraderie that you can have in a virtual environment. And so in over-communicate, I think, Jim, you said that earlier about over-communication. Over-communicate. The other thing, Joe, is not just communicating in email. You and I've talked about this in the past. We'll send video messages to them. We'll send voice messages to them. So as not to get caught up in all the text and copy that we get bombarded with, probably even more so today than in normal times. And so it has a little more impact. So those are kind of some of the things that we're doing.
Awesome. On the communication side, I'll just share it real quick with us. I think we have, Wendy, what do I have, 3 a week Zoom calls with the whole organization? we've probably got 14 in-house with my Dragonfly team, 2 of my recruiters, and everybody else is working at home, which is about probably 17 to 20. I do, as Bert said, I will a couple times a week record a voice message on my iPhone on the way in the morning, and then I'll just send that to the organization. It's a lot more personal, and I've been told that they really enjoy that. They want to hear our voice. And I have everybody, like Harvey, getting me their hot sheet and letting me know what they're working on, what they're think. We have a red, green, and yellow code on it, meaning red, we're hot and we're outbound on it. Yellow meaning we're medium, and green, we're good to go, we're in finals. And that allows me to lean in and look at a hot sheet like I typically would not be able to. But as I tell all my people, that every JO today is worth twice what it was on February 15th. So we handle that appropriately. So that's what we're doing on that side. And then my final question for all three of you gentlemen before we head out. And think about this. Harvey, I'm going to go with you. Jim, I'm going to go with you first. With what you know today, what do you think you, your people, and your office will be better for on the other side of this?
Maybe just an appreciation for each other and the opportunity. I think sometimes when things are going well, you become a little bit sanitized to your environment and to the people that you work with, which is a huge part of your life. So I think probably just the appreciation for each other and the opportunity that we have in this world to impact lives and to make a difference and to help companies build, which is overall a wonderfully positive vocation.
Harv?
I would say that much more of an appreciation for the team, because I do believe they miss the camaraderie of being together. As much as they probably don't miss me, they do miss that their leader comes down from the bridge of the ship and can dine with them, which is what I do when I work with them all day long. You know, I am an active billing manager, so they know that I do what they do. And the second thing is I learned that I'm going to be, we had a test years ago with Hurricane Sandy in New Jersey where we were down for 2 weeks power-wise, and we had to work remote, but wasn't as sophisticated as now. But I think I'm going to make sure that my company is better prepared for another crisis like this, because we were fortunate to get our act together pretty quickly, but there are some things we could put in place that I don't have to go through some of the turbulence we're going through now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Bert?
Yeah, from Protus Global and ACE, I think the people do miss being together without question. There is a family feeling at Protus Global. They hang out. There's a lot of camaraderie. So I know that'll be exciting for all of them and us as leaders of them. But in addition to that, I think what we're finding out are a few things. One, we're already starting to see an industry move in a certain direction. And I think what this has actually done has awakened most of us up, and it's going to accelerate where this industry is actually going. We were already headed down a path, and now it's making us step back and make sure that we continue to now accelerate that path and give it more of the attention that it really needs. Although we've been through 3 of these, and we sat back when there's 3 things that we look at immediately in this situation. One is the money situation, addressing cash, addressing deferment of payments, ensuring that we run financial models to understand how long can we go based on X, Y, and Z, and there's multiple models that we did. The way we address the team and making sure the team feels like they're still being part of the organization, that we want to make sure we are measured in every decision we make, as we know the decisions that we make today are going to affect both the company and the Protus brand, not just in the short term, but for years to come. And the third piece of that model is really the reach out and the check on relative to the clients and the talent and how we're building that. And those are the 3 pieces. And the learning part of that is, I think we can get better at that even going forward. And so, because this is something we've not seen before, this model I just described is good for a lot of slowdowns. Unfortunately, I'm not sure how many other changes we can make in what we call a pandemic that we did not see coming. Joe, what about you?
I think I echo what all three of you gentlemen said. Is my team has always been super tight. I mean, insanely tight. I think that even gets tighter right now. So that's one. Yeah. Two is broadening my offerings to my client base. So those who know me know we have a full production company in here. And my production company actually is booking substantial business revenue right now with clients who don't have the ability to reach out marketing. In fact, we've got three new clients in that area. And then finally, I think every owner who listens to this needs to have what I call the IV drip set. And let me share it with you really quick. Is whenever you watch one of those movies and the ambulance shows up and you hear the first responder say, get me a line on that patient right now, meaning a saline drip, just so you have an open line if you have to deliver something because you have a status change. And so what you want to do as a business owner is have your IV drip on. One, if you're a business owner, once this is over, you need to get yourself a line of credit. And you need to max that out as far as the limit's concerned as much as possible. Because if you're looking for an LOC right now, you're not going to get it. So get your IV drip started on your line of credit. Harvey's touched on it. Get your IV line in on your technology. Don't wait for the black swan to occur. Get that IV drip started so you can then turn that medicine on when you need it. And then finally, your emergency response. I mean, I've got a great head of ops here, and she had made sure that we had an emergency response in place for just about any scenario that we were able to scale up for this, from looking for a quick pay, managing cash, immediately having the call list on who the cash goes out to so we could execute very quickly on metering down what goes out and accelerating what comes in. So I think those are the things that I will make sure we're even better at on the other side of this, and actually start building the processes now. So that's my share. Listen, gents, this has been incredibly valuable. I know for me, I've learned things in this. I think for our network, we're blessed to have such experience sitting here on, I think we've got well over 100 years sitting on this panel of experience. You don't find that many places. So I'll just say I'm thankful for your all. Jim, any closing words?
I'll give it right back to you. Thank you for having me on. Thank you, Bert, for putting it together. And Harvey, thank you for your contributions. I too learned some really good stuff from this discussion, and we'll see you on the other side.
Mm-hmm. And Harvey?
Ditto. I think this was great learning for all of us, myself included. Sometimes you don't necessarily learn everything, but what you do is it reaffirms what you're doing is right, or it is a course for correction. One suggestion I have for Joe and Bert: when this goes away, it's going to be pretty easy right now where it's checklists, get a credit line, get the infrastructure in place. But as things improve, that stuff will be like, I'm going to clean the garage someday. What I suggest is a list goes out while we're suffering now from corporate. Here's all the checklist of things an owner could do for the next crisis that may or may not come. So we have that checklist to get started on it as early as now, versus, because I know me, right now I have a checklist, but as soon as things turn around, I may not forget it. I'm not going to think about it. So just a suggestion.
Good one, Harvey.
Oh, great suggestion, Harvey. And I guess that's what makes our network special, right? Number one, the experience that we have on this panel. Two, the fact that we share with one another. And three, you get great suggestions from experienced owners. The one thing I would say from the show here, if you take a look at our office, nobody here is massive. we've all been small. We've all been where we are today, which is all mid-sized, highly productive offices. None of us are sitting here with 50, 60, 70, 80 people. We're leading larger offices than many, but we still have to manage what we need to manage on a day-to-day basis because there is some relativity to that. So I just want to say thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Glad you guys are the first ones on. Joe, once again, man, love the studio, putting this on, and your team being able to make this thing happen. I know this is more of a studio thing, production, and your team really in the last few days have been able to make this happen. So thank you as well.
You bet. So thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon. This has been Bert Miller and Joe Mullings with The Network. Be well.